Hello everybody, it's jrobichess. We thought I'd do some live Blitz videos today. I'm going to be posting a series of games here right in a row. Had some warm-up games, lost some, had a draw, lost more than I won, that's for sure. But I'm trying out a new opening, and I've been kind of fumbling my way through it. And just to give you a little backdrop of how I came up with this opening, I was looking online because a lot of people mention that chess is like war in terms of strategy and your tactics and stuff. You kind of have to evolve as the battle goes on. So I was just looking up some military strategies, and I came across mention of one called the Pincer Attack, or the Pincer strategy. And what it is you have a little bit of forces in the middle of your army, and then you flank on both sides, kind of in a curve like that, towards the center or even maybe the back of the center. And it was very effective, but way back in the day in old military tactics. So I thought, well, how could we translate that to the chessboard? And I came up with a structure. And been playing around with it a bit today against human players. I've been making some huge mistakes. But let me just show you what it looks like. It opens up with D3. Now, you can also go G3 or B3, depending on what you prefer. Although I did pump this into Ribka, and I had Ribka play against itself from a variety of positions. And generally with the G3 and the B3, Ribka was able to fare a lot better as black. So D3 is the one I settled on finally. And it looks a little strange. This is a game that I played and lost today, by the way, because I let my opponent fork me. But this is the structure here of what I'm calling the Pincer Attack. And the characteristics are simply this. You have a knight on D2, you have a knight on E2, and you have both bishops fianchetto, and from here, of course, you can castle. Now, in this particular position right now, this is fairly close to equality. So it's not an opening that's going to gain you an advantage with white in the beginning, but it's going to create positions that you probably rarely have ever seen. And one of the things that I really like about this strategy is that I can thrust the C pawn or the F pawn up to either F4 or C4 at leisure, and the positions that it creates are quite interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm throwing this out to you guys. This is a work in progress, and I think that there's not enough of this in chess nowadays. Like, people just strictly focus on specifically what's already been created, and they research that as deep as they can, and that's great. Like, I mean, that's very important, and I do the same thing. But it's also fun to try to come up with some new things. So what I'd like to do is I'm throwing this position out to you guys. I'd like you to play some people, even if you have to, play unrated games. Although you should know that if you play unrated games on online sites, you have a high chance of playing a computer. But I'm going to throw that out to you, and if you guys could email me your game PGNs, I'm going to start to compile a database of human players, because I've came up with a mainline against Ribka, and I'll talk about that at the very end of the video here. I'll do a quick little segment on what I think the mainline would be from what I was able to ascertain from the computer. But let's play some games here. So I'm going to seek a 5-minute game. Hopefully these are better than the last few I've played, because I've lost a great deal today. And but I'm win, lose, or draw. I'm just going to go at it here and play a bunch of games. So I'm going to go here with D3 and E3. Now I'm going to fianchetto. And once you play around with this, you can play around a little bit with the move order too. You'll find that you can pretty much do all these moves almost irregardless of what your opponent plays to get into the structure. And a lot of people don't probably play against this structure very often, and that'll be to your benefit, of course. Okay, so now I can do a thrust either on C file or the F file. I'm going to go with the C file just because I can take away the square from the knight. And I'm not going to take right away here, I don't think. What can I do instead of taking? Well, I guess I could take. See, I could take with the bishop. Bishop takes, push my pawn up. I don't know if I like that or not. Also, I'm giving him the ability to come in with this knight again to this square. I'm going to try this. Okay, now I'm going to block that dark square bishop off a little bit. Let's see. Let's try this. Now I'll take there. Okay. So from this position here, what should I do? I should probably worry about looks like I play that for now. Maybe just a waiting move here or something. Let's see here. Takes. Oh, that wouldn't be good. Knight here. Try to tie down that pawn for the short term here. Let's see. Kind of lost positional advantage here, substantially. Down a pawn. This passed pawn is going to be a monster. Try to break open a bit. Oh, my little guy's in the room. Down here we go. Might save this with a draw. Perpetual. I don't know where the draw button is here. Let's try this. Alright, so we were able to draw that. Well, we fell apart there, but that's okay. Like, I mean, this is just throwing this out here, so let's see where it kind of went wrong here. So when we get into the position, even when I was using it against Rybka, it was slightly negative in score, which you know would indicate that black is standing a little bit better. But like, I mean, the margin is so small that it's negligible. It's just very much an equal position, especially, and you can even see that in this game. And I'll talk about the main line here with the computer. So anyway, here I was doing okay, building up an advantage, almost a pawn worth. Had a little bit of repetition here. Fell apart there. What should I have played here? Computer likes d takes e5. So let's just take a look at that. D takes e5. Bishop takes. C takes d5. Knight b5. Dx c6. Okay, so even if it would have went down there, it would have been okay. But nonetheless, got the advantage back there. Back to equality here. Let's see where I played my major mistake. Started about here, letting that pass pawn come in, and then that wasn't a good move. I can just double up there. And I couldn't move my rook because it was taken over. So here my opponent just has a crushing advantage. Pawn's worth. I guess not crushing, but it got better right here when I wanted to try to open things up, and then, well, you know how it went. So let's try another one here. Oops. Seek 5. Now I'm just doing white because I want to focus specifically on this opening here. So I'll just close that. Okay, so d3. So here I can't really get the fianchetto on the dark square yet. We'll see if my opponent blocks himself off on that. Alright, so I can't move my bishop where I want it. So I'm going to have to deviate a little bit here. So I'll play my knight out. I'm going to try to get into the position though, because that's what I really want to focus on here. I guess I'll just lock it down a bit. And now I'll go back to D2. And there's not much point for me to push that. Okay, so let's just see what he's threatening here. I'm going to go ahead with that push. Okay. Let's see how my opponent plays here. Just dropped a piece. Because that's the thing that I like about this opening too, is that it just creates the strangest positions. I gotta be careful because I don't want to totally duff everything up here, but I don't really see a lot to do here. Just gotta play it safe. Let's try to liquidate some material off here. It's looking pretty solid, thanks to my opponent's gift of a piece, but is there a check here I have? No. Another thing that I like about it too is that it's, like I said before, like the positions that it creates are interesting. They're fun to play tactically, from a tactical position. He's got to save his queen. I'm expecting him just to resign here soon. I might as well just lock it down now. Try to create some threats. I don't think putting my I'm just going to double up. Maybe push the pawn here. Okay, this should be good now. He's just throwing pieces away now. Probably out of frustration. I'm just pre-moving. Okay, so game's over there. So let's take a look here. So I think that probably when I saw that bishop move, or actually no, hold on. When I saw g6, I don't think that there's really any way I could have got my fianchetto on b2, other than what I did, which was kind of go around and reposition the pieces. But it's, which is what I did there. I blocked off the dark square bishop's access along this diagonal, got ready to fianchetto here on b2, and then played a game of chess. But once again, here's the thrust from c2 to c4. I could have also done f2 to f4. But the positions that it creates, people just don't play against this setup. Hardly at all. Even when I first was thinking about it, I was like, how in the world, am I going to justify sticking my knights on d2 and e2? And I'm sure there's some pretty strong chess players out there right now that are watching thinking, this guy's just crazy and he's talking crap. But it's not crap. I plugged this into Rybka, and I'll tell you exactly what I did. I took Rybka versus Rybka human, which is two variants of Rybka. When Rybka was playing Rybka human as black, it won a couple games as black, and then there were a few draws. Actually, mostly draws with a couple wins. When I flipped it over and had Rybka play white against Rybka human as black, Rybka white was able to win from the position a couple times, and then there was a lot of draws. So the position where you have the knight on d2 and e2, fianchetto on b2, and a fianchetto on g2, is very equal coming out of that position, and the computer was able to win a couple. Most of them were draws. So I'm definitely looking forward to people, crunching this out, taking a look at it. I'm sure there'll be some that think it's just complete crap right off the bat, and that's obviously you're right to think that way. But I'm going to mess around with it a little bit. I really like the positions that it comes with, simply because you don't see them very often, and it's just fun to work on something kind of new and fresh. So let's have another one here. We'll see what happens. So not too bad so far. So once again, I'm going to go with the d3. I'll see what my opponent plays. So here, I can just continue on as normal. So my opponent, I think, is used to maybe playing the Sicilian defense and really wants to play it. He's going to have an interesting structure to deal with here, though. I'm just going to give it right into the pincer attack formation. Just like that. So completely out of book. And I think I'm going to do my thrust right now, right here. And yeah, what am I going to do with this pawn here, though? I could take. That opens up the e file. I could push my pawn up to e4. Let's see, push, takes. And then I have, might be workable. Let's try it. That way I can get my bishop to c1 and be pointing towards his castled king. Now if he doesn't take right away, then I'm going to push my pawn up to f3 so that when he does, now what's he thinking of doing? He's thinking of coming in here with his knight. Maybe I can just kick that knight. Okay, now what do I want to do? I should probably... Why can't I just take here? It can't be that bad. Whoa. What's this guy doing? Gotta worry about his bishop now. take that pawn. It's just interesting positions that it creates. And I think it just kind of throws people off a little bit. Now, that knight has done a tremendous job. I'm thinking of trading it off for that light square bishop. Mainly because that light square bishop is pointing towards h3 and could be a problem later on. So I'm just going to strip that off right now. Now I want to get my other knight to see if I can't take that knight off too. I got to be careful though, because do I attack the rook? That seems pretty dangerous right now. I have to be careful of this knight coming down to b4, or just something like that. Okay, now knight to g3 maybe, and then knight to e4. Seems like a solid plan. He can't double up rooks on the f file with my dark square bishop there, so he might try to take this dark square bishop off. Once again, I'll happily do that because then I don't have to worry about another bishop pointing down towards here. Of course, if I bring my knight here, you can just trade that off. I can always just attack it. Yeah, so there goes the dark square bishop. I really want that knight off of there so I can move my knight here. Blockade this dark square bishop in. Okay, so let's think here now. What am I going to do? I like my knight here because it's blockading. On the other hand, it would be nice to get my queen supporting this bishop. I think for now I'm just going to take away that square for his knight on b4. Time's pretty much equal. Okay. And he's doing the same in kind. Maybe I use my bishop to blockade. Yeah, why don't I do that? He's going to take. Now if he's going to kick my dark square bishop, that wasn't a good move. Just pinned his rook to his king. I might have even missed that a move before. He might resign there. Oh, I'm just going to take it. Oh, my little boy's coming down here. I'm going to have to mute the mic for a sec. What, buddy? What? last month. Okay, back. Yeah, it's very much in trouble here. Let's see. It should be okay. As long as I play it safe, I should be okay. I can't let that knight come in, so I'm going to have to take that. There's no two ways about that. I'm going to have to blockade this. I only got 9 seconds left. That's horrible. Oh, there's my little guy again. Just a second. I'm going to mute the mic here. I'm busy right now. I'm making video. Let's see if I can scrape this on time. Nope. I don't know who won that or not, but whatever. So let's take a look at it here. Oops. That's not me. No, okay. I thought I accepted the challenge by accident. So anyway, there's the opening I've been kind of working on, the Pincer Attack, and here's the formation. So I've lost a fair share of games with it, and I've won some, and put it through the benchmarks on the computers, found some interesting things out. But I've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun with it, and it creates positions that are fun to play. It's definitely, though, like I said, it's not an opening that presses for an advantage right in the beginning. It's kind of like I kind of liken it to the Alekhine's defense as black, where you're inviting your opponent to create virtually whatever center they want is what you're doing. But in the process of doing so, you have some tools at your disposal, some weapons. The pincer strategy can be unleashed in terms of having a little bit of force in the middle. Okay, so we have our D3, we have our E3, but we also have the flexibility to launch an attack from both sides depending on how black decides to position himself. And I really like the flexibility of having the C pawn thrust to C4, and I like the flexibility of the F pawn thrust to F4 as well. You can get into Stonewall-like positions, you can rip open positions. There's just a lot of things that are going on. So anyway, what I'd like you guys to do if you're interested is to help me develop this opening and play it online, and send me your PGN files through email to jrobichess at gmail.com, and I will save every game that I get that looks like a rational game, so in other words not completely horrible games, but I'll save the games into this database, and I'll post it up on the blog every once in a while, the TotalBit database, and I'm going to build a tree out of it when it reaches a certain amount of games, and come up with some main lines for out of the human games. And I'm also, next video I'm going to talk a little bit about what I found to be the main line against a computer. In other words, what I thought was the best line to play against a computer. I was going to do that today, but you know what? I think I'm just going to keep this straight on the live Blitz end of things, and next video we'll do that. So that's the Pincer Attack in a nutshell. So you know, it's been exciting for me, and hopefully you'll find some interest in it as well. And also what I'd like to do is thank everybody again for their subscriptions, and I like to make my Christmas video every year with pictures from my subscribers. So if you guys are interested, email me your picture to jrobichess@gmail.com, whether you're playing with your friends, your family, or your kids, or whatever, or even at your local chess club. That'd be awesome. And you know, just send your pictures in. I'll put it in my Christmas video next week. I always post a Christmas video with pictures of my subscribers. So looking forward to seeing you guys. And you know, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you take a little look at what the opening strategy is and kind of what I was aiming for with it. And it's definitely a new one. Like I did some checking on it. There's no other setup exactly like this whatsoever. In fact, the computer was out of book very early on once I plugged this position into it. But anyway, looking forward to your feedback and your comments and the games that you send in, and also those pictures. So take care. Hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you next time.